So welcome to Shit Your Mama Should Have Told You and More. I'm Ramel, and we have Alex and Simone here with us again today. We are co-hosting again. And I have a topic I wanted to talk about for a long time, and it's called Secrets of the Black Family. And there's so many layers to it. There's mental health, there's incest and molestation. There's so many, there's suppression, there's financial issues. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it because in my upbringing, I had an uncle, you know, we all got that one crazy uncle in the basement who just is out of control and nobody ever does anything. Maybe I shouldn't say crazy because that's probably not politically correct, but I'm calling him Crazy Uncle Curtis.
Politically correct or not.
Right. And one of the things that I've noticed is, even though I'm looking up on the National Alliance on Mental Health, I'm looking up that they say that according to the Health and Human Services Offices of Minority Health, Black adults in the US are more likely than white adults to report persistent symptoms of emotional distress, such as sadness, hopelessness, and feeling like anything is an effort. However, they're less likely to receive guideline consistent care, less frequently included in research, and more likely to use emergency rooms or primary care. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was because why don't we receive help? Why aren't we getting the help that we need? Do you feel like it's a cultural thing? Do you feel like it's like, you know, what is the basis for just being embarrassed about receiving help in the Black community?
I feel like asking for help, I think people feel like they are weak, and we've had to be very strong for so many years.
Mhm.
And admitting that you need help, I think people feel like it's a weakness.
Hmm.
And um yeah, it's just been one of those things that's just like depression. I can't be depressed. Like, we don't have depression in our family. Really? So why did so and so almost like tried to commit suicide? But we don't have depression in our family? Like, it's just like, I think we feel like it is weakness.
Yeah. First, I think there's a lot of secrets in both cultures, skin tones that we keep hidden. But my thought, and I have no real idea, but my guess would be it goes back to slavery.
Everything goes back to slavery.
Right. I mean, because look, it's sad, but true. I mean, I would imagine in those days that if someone's acting, to piggyback on the word that you use, Ramel, crazy. No, keep it down. We don't want anything happen to you. We want Master to do something to you. And I think it comes from that culture that everything keeps quiet. We don't want anything to happen to you. And I think if that moment in history didn't happen, I think we all, the household within the Black community, would be completely different, as far as how the men feel. Men being able to talk to other people, and I think that's in society in general, that in the last 10 years, men, it's okay to talk. Men, it's okay to cry. Where in the white household, if it's 70s, 80s, if a boy cried, a guy cried, it was like, oh my God, why are you crying? Okay, what's going on? It became a little more acceptable. But I don't even think, like, back in the 50s, 60s, 40s, even in the white household, men were supposed to be strong. Men were allowed to cry. keep it down. We don't want to hear how you feel.
Mhm.
And we all had those crazy uncles. Look, we don't need the neighbors don't need to know everything that goes on in the house. Let's put on that facade. Let's put on that social media face.
But it was, in my family, it was obvious because he used to do some real off the wall type shit. Like, one time I woke up and he had thumbtacks pushed into his face and he was walking around the house. And I was like, what the fuck is
Damn.
going on? Thumbtacks all over his face, almost like he was doing acupuncture.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything to him. And then every once in a while, we'd have to, what they call 302 him when he got really out of control. But there was no consistent treatment sought for him. And
Do you think that has to do with, real quick, do you think that has to do with financial, where family couldn't afford to seek the proper help? Or do you think it has to do with the stigmatism of having a family member seeing somebody because of a mental issue?
They could afford it. He was a retired steel worker or sanitation worker, I can't remember. And he was a retired sanitation worker. So he still had health care. I think it was the stigma. I think a lot of the secrets are the stigma of
Embarrassment.
Yeah, because he was embarrassing to me. And I remember standing on my porch talking to friends, and I would almost not even want to be on my porch because he might come out and do something crazy or ridiculous, and they would be laughing. And I remember my brother and his immature friends, they're laughing at him. He had a lot of times of clarity, but he was very off the wall. And
Do you think one of the reasons, so I'm going to bring this back real quick. So when my dad suffered a stroke, people are like, why don't you put him in a nursing home? Why don't you put him here? So because I don't know what they're going to do with him there. I'd rather, at least if I'm going to take care of him, I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to do my best. Do you think that they didn't want him to get properly checked out because they were afraid they may lose him, like they may take him away to a mental facility and possibly never see him again because of drugs and pills? They'd rather, have to deal with the little negativity or whatever negativity, but they still be able to hold him, touch him for those fun moments of clarity that you kind of just mentioned.
I don't know. I don't, I really wish I had been old enough to ask why we weren't doing something about it. But it goes to a whole group of people, the whole Black culture is the way I see it is. I could point to almost every house on my block. It has a Black family in it, and everybody's got one person in there that is stigmatized somehow. And what's the reason why we're not getting help? Why are we not getting help? Do we feel like the help is not adequate? Wanting to hold that person and love that person and touch that person might be account for some of it, but there's a lot. This thing right here says despite needing the help, only 1 in 3 Black adults who need it receive it.
Now it is true. It is very true that years ago, before you were born, Ramel.
Okay.
Okay. It's facts that Black people were experimented on. Black people with mental health were experimented on.
That was going to bring up my question.
Yeah. And so I think it could stem from that as well, where it's like, we're not gonna go to them. It's like all them, because
Right.
they came, the Nazis literally came to America and started experimenting in America. That's facts. There's a museum in LA. This is true information.
Oh yeah.
Changed their names. The like hunters that show on Hunters that called Hunters in Amazon.
Nazi hunter.
True. That is true. And so, you know, that could be one reason why Black people are just like, I ain't going to nobody for help. You know, even in our medical system today, Black people receive some of the worst care. Why is it that so many Black women are dying, you know, during labor? You know, why is it so like, why is it that so many Black people are, you know, under medicated and they're being ignored because, you know, when they have different issues. So I think it just could be like the lack of trust in the American medical system, like, period. That could be one reason.
Mhm. Huh.
I don't, I mean, I could definitely see that because I know a few Black people that seek help monthly, yet refuse to get the vaccine because of the history of America experimenting on Black people. So I can definitely see that. One of the things that I start to, you know, as soon as you start talking about the medical history in the United States of experimentation, you know, I start looking up some things, and you know, it goes back to everything you said, that you know, it's America has done some fucked up things to the African American community, as far as science experimenting, because they didn't want to experiment on their own children. Let's experiment on children that we own, that if we lose, oh well, we can go buy another one for $1.50, 75, whatever the fucking price was. So I can definitely see how that, again, back to the slavery era, how that trickles down to the household even 150, 160 years later. Now, you know, I think men in general over the last 10, 15 years have become a little more okay with seeking help. Now, as far as the Black community, what happens within the household, you know, it's a, everybody wants to have a facade. It's the same thing as, you know, people taking 100 pictures and posting the best one on Facebook. You
Right.
know, they only want to put the good out there. They don't want to put the ones where you know, your eye is, one eye's closed, the one's open, and you're showing a piece of lettuce in between your teeth.
Mm.
But in doing this, in ignoring the need in our families for mental health, we are finding more of our Black family members living on the streets.
Mhm.
And I wanted to bring this up because, you know, when you look at people that are living on the street, they're not just on the street because they don't have money or family somewhere that is willing to take them in. It's mental health.
I see it all over LA, you know, and yes, people, and a lot of times, you know, now that you bring it up, I never really thought about it. I'm kind of going through my mind, just people I see. A lot of the people that I see on the street that are speaking to themselves or walking in the middle of the street are come from a person of color. Now BLA, it's Spanish,
Right.
Black, um, you know, but the majority of them, you know, are someone of a darker complexion than myself.
And something that we don't get a lot of information on is that um, males are more likely to have a mental, especially Black males, are more likely to have a mental health crisis early in their lives, like before they're 27, I think that number was. But you go to the doctor all the time and nobody addresses it,
Mhm.
you know, and nobody says, you know, how's your mental well-being? How's, you don't even that, you know, you take your kid to the doctor and nobody even
I'm
brings it up.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Everything's
Right.
good. We good.
Yeah.
Jesse was literally just talking about this. We just had a conversation yesterday, and he's just like, nobody's asking me about my well-being. Nobody's checking in on me, asking me how I'm doing with the kids. No one's asking me, what do you need to do to get, you know, to take the next step? There's no one checking in. Everyone's just like, you got this. You got this. It's just like, I do? Okay. Bet.
Well, if you notice in like sports, let's take the NBA. You know, there's been a lot of athletes coming out over the last 5 years saying, no, I'm checking my health. I'm checking my mental health. I'm not there. Something is off. And I think once people that are considered my hero, people I look up to, if it's okay for them to do it, okay for them to talk about it, maybe it is okay for me to talk about it. So I think it's just that idolism, that word idolism, people that you idolize start saying, hey, you know what? I'm seeking help for my mental. Something's not right. I may be worth 40, 50 million, have everything I want financially. I may have everything I want with my family, but something inside of me isn't right. Until our heroes, our idols start doing that, it's not going to get, little kids aren't going to go, hey, you know what? Maybe something is wrong. Maybe mommy, daddy, I need to speak to somebody. Because I know I was asked for many times to speak to somebody. I was like, I don't need to speak to somebody. I know I'm fucked up. The end. That was what. What am I?
No question about it.
I'm not. You want me to be mentally health? Fine. Let me keep the money that I'm going to pay somebody to listen to my thoughts. That'll keep me mentally strong for a while. But I'm giving to you from a male perspective. I'm not saying white male. I'm not saying black. I'm saying a male perspective. We fight to keep. Our job is to help take care of the family. Majority of the households, it's a man bringing in the money and women taking care of the kids. Men, if we feel like we can't take care of the family because we're mentally unfit or something's off, how am I going to be able to put food on the table? I just got to kind of stifle that. I got to push that down. I got to kind of stay strong. This way I can take care of my family. But if we see our heroes going, you know what? Yes, I can take care of my family, but I need to step back a little bit here and there just to check myself. I think then we'll see kids coming up and households, going, you know what? That's a strong man. A strong man that says, you know what? I need help. But until we see those people doing it, I think it's really not going to happen for a lot of men because they feel like they're being weak. And that's the last thing a man wants to feel. And the last thing a woman wants to make a man feel is weak.
Right.
Mother or significant other.
So that's a hard journey because it's a challenge to get people to step up and display that kind of leadership.
Right.
I've seen a few recently, but then they get the backlash at the same time, and then that's going to make others not want to do it. Like, look at the girl who said, I'm not going to do the interviews because my mental well-being, right? And then she got all kind of smacks.
The young
she got a lot of support, but she got a lot of smacks.
Yeah, the tennis player.
I can't think of her name, but yeah.
I want to think her last name. Like, hold on, let me look it up. Osher,
Naomi
like
Osaka.
Osaka.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say it was very ethnic
But
sounding.
it's going to take somebody strong to go, you know what? I don't care what you think about me doing this. I have to care about me. Until any of us, and I think there's a lot of people in society, they're starting to go, you know what? It's not about what you think. It's about what I think. And as long as, you have a supporting cast around you, no matter what you do, you're always going to have naysayers. You're always going to go, no, don't do that. Why are you doing that? You shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Look, I have these 4 people behind my back. They're the 4 people that mean something. They're my roots. They keep me grounded. That's why I'm doing it. And hopefully on the other side, I'll come out a better person. But, until someone says, I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm doing this for me. And I have my people behind me. It's not going to happen. I commend that young lady. I commend these people, these professional athletes that are saying, I need to do this for me. And it's time we take that stigmatism away, that seeking help, for your mind is weakness. It's actually, a strength because you're saying, I need help.
Yeah.
So another area that I wanted to talk about as far as secrets of the Black family is the insane amount of incest that happens within our families. Um, it's absolutely appalling. Um, you can't even leave your kids somewhere, especially can't take them over to crazy Uncle Curtis's house. You don't know what he's going to do, but you can't leave your kids anywhere, and it goes so underreported.
Yeah.
There should be no stigma in if you're getting molested, or so you have an incestuous relationship within your family. That might be a little bit stigma, but we're being told, don't tell anybody that your cousin touched you. Don't tell anybody that your uncle was touching you.
Because it's embarrassing.
How can it be embarrassing if it's criminal and somebody did it? Why are we allowing that?
Do you think it has to do with protecting not so much the crazy uncle or cousin, whatever, more about protecting the child and everything they're gonna have to go through?
So I had an incident, and I think I told you about this, Simone, where I took this little boy during the holiday. We went to Florida to visit some family members, and he was a friend of my son's, my youngest son. So first off, the issue happened when my son was 7. There was a little boy that was at this family member's house. He didn't actually live there, but he would occasionally be there. And he was a sexual predator. And the problem is that we have to stop this, because we have to stop not telling it, because somebody molested him and now he's looking to molest somebody else. So he tried to kiss my son, and they had been swimming all day and he was sleeping. And I had always told him, if anybody tries you, hit them in the nuts, and when they bend down to grab their nuts, uppercut them. And he came down, he was, I had been checking on him in the room. He was knocked out because they had been swimming and he was tired. So anyway, I guess the other little boy was fully awake. So that's when, like, you a predator, because you sitting there waiting for an opportunity. So, okay. So anyway, I'm gonna speed it up. So he comes out. I heard a boom, 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 some bumping, and my son comes out and said, "Let's go." And I was like, "Let's go where?" He told me, the little boy, I'm just gonna say his name was Johnny. Johnny's being nasty. I said, "What do you mean? What did he do?" He said, "He tried to kiss me like I was his girlfriend." Okay, the little boy comes out holding his nuts in his eye, and he said, the little boy said, "I didn't do anything." And my son started yelling, "You're gay and you're lying. You're gay and you're lying." Okay, fast forward. So I called the authorities, but the woman who was his godmother, she didn't want me to report it. And I'm thinking, who are you trying to protect? Next time we go down there, which was some years later, I think Aiden was now 11 at this point, Johnny wasn't going to try him again. And we didn't even think Johnny was going to be there. So they were playing, all the kids are playing in the bouncy house, and Johnny's sitting over the corner, just looking. He had been singled out, selected a child, and had a plan and was plotting to sleep with the little boy that night. The little boy was his same age. So he was capable of saying no, but he let him do it. And I reported it again. I didn't even want to be around the little boy, but I had driven from Atlanta all the way down there. And then I was like, why is he still here? Anyway, I kept going in and out of the room, going in and out of the room that they were all in. And come to find out, he had been molesting his sister.
Mm.
Again, she was furious that I called the child services. I don't even remember what they call it down there, family, Department of Family and Children or whatever,
Yeah.
and the police.
Mhm.
But we don't, why are we trying to hide that? I wasn't embarrassed. I was angry. Because here
Mhm.
you done fuck somebody else's son. And now I got to get on the phone and tell this lady what happened to her son, but you don't want me to report it? Are you
Mhm.
kidding me? So, and it becomes a vicious cycle of round and round and round. Somebody molested little Johnny. Johnny molested his sister. And then what you think gonna happen next? She gonna grow up and start molesting
Or allow men
or
to
allow men.
physically, verbally, mentally abuse her
Mhm.
because she's used to it. It's a cycle.
It is. And I'm just trying to see how we can make our Black families stronger if we keep allowing this kind of thing to happen and go unchecked.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it all starts on the inside. I mean, like you kind of said, you were embarrassed, you were angry,
Yeah.
and I think it gets to the point where where do we go? We go, look, it is embarrassed, but it's we need help.
Mhm.
This shouldn't be happening. Why is so and so? And breaking the cycle. Some people are afraid to break the cycle. Some people don't want to get outside the norm. Some people don't want to get outside their comfort zone and cause trouble. Even though the trouble may be the type of trouble you need to cause for the betterment of your family, your household, your community, some people don't want, and I think I mentioned earlier, that scarlet letter on their door.
Mhm.
No, we're good, and just sweep it under the rug. And no, nothing, we're fine. No, no, sweep it under the rug. You
Mhm.
know, I don't, I have no idea, um, you know, why anybody would want to hide something like that other than embarrassment.
Mhm.
You know,
It is embarrassing, but I feel like as adults, we should be thinking of the children more. Um, if my child molested somebody, I would be extremely embarrassed. But me
But
personally,
wouldn't you? But wouldn't you try to do whatever you can to protect your child at the same time?
yes. So me personally, I would also feel because like I'm responsible. I'm the parent of that child. So I'm responsible for the child's actions. So now I'm also responsible for the emotions and, the mental well-being of that other child. And so I would personally want to make sure that my child sought out some help, like got some help. And then also I would want to make sure that that child that was, molested, offended, whatever it was, is also helped because hurt people and it just keeps on going and that's where I'm just like I think I've always been the type of person I'd rather be embarrassed myself if it's going to help a situation and get better. I Embarrassment is hard to undergo, like it's hard to take on embarrassment.
Do
It's
you
hard
think
to admit those things.
that households don't report it because it's going to look bad on them as a parent? You go, okay, what are you doing to that child that's making that child do that to this person? Or what happened to that uncle in his youth that's making him turn out that way? Do you think those questions that households don't want to have to answer is one of the reasons why they sweep situations like that under the rug?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like, if my child molests somebody, it's like, oh, I did something wrong. It's on me. And sometimes that may be true, and sometimes it's not. But regardless if it's true or not, we have to help the child. We have to protect the children. So maybe it is something I'm doing wrong and I need to be called out, and now I'm being called out on it because it's just like I lacked whatever that's causing my child to do this. And so now it's like now I got to call myself out, which is even harder. Now I have to admit that I'm fucking up somewhere, and I don't want to admit that. I don't want to admit that I'm doing something wrong when it comes to raising my kids. But that's the truth. And so it's like, so to protect my own, to protect myself, I'm not going to admit any of that. And so now I'm going to mess my child up even more because I don't want to admit the fact that I need to correct something that I'm doing as a parent.
Mm, mm,
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, because I know for me, from things I've heard, that it's always been harder for a black man to show his manliness than it is for a white man to show his manliness. And maybe that has to do with the history of the country. How back again to slavery days, it was easier for a white man to show his worth than a black man.
Mm-hmm.
It was easier for a white man to take care of his family or have some family support. And again, I don't know this is things I've been told than it was a black man. So I think a lot of that has to play with the how it trickled down over generations and decades and millennial. But I think I'm the father of two daughters, so we are raising them that's okay to speak about your feelings. But I have a friend of mine who is a son. Hey, it's okay to speak about your feelings, but the kid doesn't speak that often. So who knows? But I think that there will be a time, especially this generation coming up, who families are accepting their sexual orientation. Mothers like Simone, when you get blessed enough to have a child, if that child comes out and says, "Hey, I didn't want to put the information out there.
That's fine.
I didn't want to put the information out there."
Yeah.
If that child comes out and says, "I'm gay, I'm bi," you as a mother would be okay. I accept you. I accept that. But 20, 30 years ago, if your child said, "Mom, I'm gay, I like boys," okay, so that doesn't leave the household.
Mm-hmm.
And I think down the road, generations that are accepting orientation, that are more accepting to mental health, more accepting to being, what, my child's fucked up, but that's okay. That's my child. And I'm going to do what I can to make sure that child becomes a well-rounded adult. I'm very optimistic that changes down the road. And I think a lot of it has to do with the generation we have today, because a lot of generations don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you like my orientation or not. I don't care if you think I'm weak because I seek help. I'm seeking help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reading a book about vulnerability and shame that my cousin recommended, and it just talks about how difficult it is to show vulnerability, how difficult it is to admit shame. And I feel like it is most prominent in the Black family. One, because we, being the underdogs, being the lowest of the low, we have been disposable. We don't have the room to have any impurity. We don't have the room to have anything that will make us even lower than we already are. So it's just like, no, we're not gonna talk. We're not gonna talk about that because we're not gonna be the black family on the block and then have, a gay child. No, we're not talking about that. We're not gonna be the black family on the block and then have crazy Uncle Curtis in the basement. We're not gonna talk about it. We're just not gonna talk about it because we don't need anybody looking at us more than they already are. So I think that I mean, look, it all goes back to slavery. Everything, everything, what they say, everybody, it all goes back to Africa. It all goes back to slavery. Like it all goes back to um, us digging ourselves out of the hole as we've gotten so far. We can't, having something like that, that's a step back. We can't talk about it. We can't admit it. We just don't have the room for it.
Damn. And Alex is optimistic and I'm such a pessimist. So, because I feel like this has been going on way too long and it's hard to break those cycles. I still see it. I still see it. The shame is I guess because I look at things differently. I don't feel embarrassed about certain things. Well, maybe, something, but some things, but I just feel like we have to do something. And for my children, I'm like, if that shit ain't right, you got to speak up. And we might be the only black family on the block and we might be a fucked up black family. But what I'm not going to do is let you suffer because of it. I'm not living here for everybody else. I'm not living on this block for nobody else. And I mean, I've had, to contact mental health professionals for people before and get the crisis truck out there. And it don't matter if they got to pull up in front of my house. I don't give a fuck because you're going to get some help. Because look at all the bullshit that's going on at everybody else's house. You can't judge me.
But not everyone feels like you do.
Well, apparently they don't, because there's a lot of suppression and secrets.
2 hours later.
These kinds of secrets we keep in our that we're keeping in our family and from the family, and it's tearing families apart. Like that's now or at odds.
I mean, family's been torn apart for minor stuff. That's a major thing, and I think it just comes down to, not everybody wants to put their shit out there. Sometimes it's just none of your damn business. If it's gonna fuck up with somebody mentally, we should address it within the household and take care of it. And sometimes people are on a need to know basis, and your ass doesn't need to know everything.
You mean my ass? Because my ass don't need to know nothing. But I'm just saying.
Well, I was saying you as a general word.
Oh, okay. As in someone. Right.
You people, nothing to do with the colors.
What did he say?
And when I say you people,
are you sure, Alex?
I'm having a volleyball game in my mind real quick. Hold on a second. Yeah, really? I'm sure. But it's just sometimes people don't need to know everything that goes on in someone's household. I don't know. What do you think, Simone?
So I agree with that. Because I've always been a very private person, and like not a lot of people know like what goes on in my life. But if you sit down and talk to me, if we're sitting down and we're talking and we're just having like a true heart to heart, or just really, talking about whatever, I'll talk to you and I'll tell you, what's going on. But when I don't got no friends.
But I'm your friend.
Now I have friends to talk to on the internet.
Yeah. I may be a white man, but I'm your friend.
So me, like I said, I've always been a private person, but as I got older, I realized how helpful it was to discuss things that I was going through with people that I did trust with my feelings and my emotions. And it was helpful for me. It was helpful for them because once somebody lets down their guard, and let's just say like I let you in. I let you in, and then in return, you'll let me in. So now we're comfortable. Now it's like, okay, like I'll discuss some deeper secrets with you. You can discuss some deeper secrets with me. And not feel like we're being judged. And like one thing I've realized is, especially having like relationships with all like, my friends throughout the years, is like there may be some things that you're going through that I'll be like, oh hell no, I ain't dealing with that. No, 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 no. And I can be judgy like that. Like, I'm not doing that. I would not go for that. And in return, there's some stuff that I'm gonna tell them, and they'll be like, really? You went through that? And it's just kind of like, yeah, like, we have different secrets and different little things, but we all have secrets, that's for sure. You
We
know?
all have our journey that we that have made us who we are today, whether it's mentally strong or not. And everybody
Yeah.
doesn't like. There's things about I'm sure my wife has been through that I have no idea about. There's things I've been through that my wife doesn't know about.
Hmm.
And it's not like I'm keeping it a secret or she's
Hmm.
keeping it a secret, but it's brought us to this journey today. So let me ask you this then. When you're talking to your friends and letting that guard down a little bit. Now it's different within females and males, but did they treat you different, or if it was a group of two or three, did all of them treat you a little differently after, or did they all treat you the same, or is it just one person you kind of let the guard down to?
No, I felt like anybody that I've opened up to, I felt like we became closer.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like our bond became stronger because it was like I'm just gonna take a leap of faith. I'm just gonna be vulnerable. And in doing that, I think it made them feel more comfortable, and it made them feel like, okay, I'm gonna do it too. I'm gonna take a leap and I'm gonna be vulnerable as well. And we were able to connect on a different level, because we were able to do that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, more often than not, I'm the one being vulnerable. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that I'm the first one to be vulnerable. But I have had a friend, and we were talking, and I was just like, this is everything that I've been going through. And and as I started to talk, it was just like word vomit. Like I would just, blah, blah. It was just like, it just kept on going. And she was just like, damn, she was like, I cannot believe you've kept all this from me. And I was just like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who to trust. I'm not sure who I can tell this to without them being like, okay. Like,
So you just had it on your chest, ready to get off. I was just waiting for that right
yeah,
person
it
to
was
get it off. Yeah.
like, and,
Well, well,
yeah,
I have two close guy friends out here that we talk a lot, and we've all cried on each other's shoulders, vented, asked for advice.
yeah.
Um, and they're also these two gentlemen happen to be two black men
Hmm.
that are my closest friends out here. I've
Hmm.
cried on him, he's cried on me. We've sat in that little silence,
Yeah.
just trying to like, look, man, no matter what, dude, you need anything, call me. I'm here. I don't give a shit what time. Call me. I'm here. Um, a neighbor who I'm very good friends with. We walk once a month. He has two children. We talk about raising children. We talk about living in LA. We talk about being married men. Um, and I think that they are younger than me. But they have the ability to talk. And I think sometimes, like you just said, you're waiting for the right thing to
Hmm.
talk about. Um, and I think there are a lot of younger men that have that close guy friend or two that they can cry on, or they can they get so angry, they're talking about this, and all of a sudden they start screaming in tears, and all these emotions come roaring out. And you have those guys around be like, just kind of letting them go, letting them punch a wall, letting them do whatever it is they need to do, but they're in that safe environment. And once it's out, like, okay, you good? You good? You good? We're good. All right, let's go. It's not like, okay, what's going on? What made you feel that way? Well, this is what I would do, or this is you good? You get that out? All right, you good? Yeah, we good. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
But it's not, guys will be sounding boards for other guys to vent and get angry, and but they won't help them find out why and what they can do to think differently about handling that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's men in general.
Yeah.
But nowadays, with the younger generation and not caring about what other people think, where I think that was such a thing. I mean, it still is in a way, but with men and women not being afraid to hide their sexual orientation, I think they're not going to be afraid to hide their mental lapses or their mental issues that they're having. How far it's going to go, how far someone's willing to go, we don't know. And no matter what we do in life, every family is always going to have secrets. Everybody's always going to be embarrassed about something.
Yeah.
But I think there's coming to a point where you got to go, okay, is this secret something that we need to keep because we're embarrassed, or is this secret something we need to keep because we don't want that information to get out, so people look at our family with a scarlet letter on it?
Mm-hmm. I feel like there is a way to not hide things. Like, of course, you don't want to exploit your family, right? Like, you don't want to exploit your family, but I feel like there is a way to mention that there are things going on in the family without talking you don't have to go A to Z, like, okay, so this is what happened, this is who did it, blah 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 blah, shoo, and then Kayla blah 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 blah, and then Denise blah blah blah. Like, you don't have to, like, it doesn't, you don't have to go into all that, but it's okay to be like,
Cliff
yeah,
notes.
there was, yeah, exactly. Like, there's been some molestation in our family, and we're dealing with it. We're seeking the help. We're making sure that so and so is okay. We're making sure that so and so gets help, and now we got to figure out, it's not so much, to me, it's not so much about what happened, who, what, when, where, and how. It's more so about, what are we doing now? So what have you done? Okay, so that happened. We don't need to go into detail about what happened, but it's more so like, what are we doing about the situation now? Okay, well, so and so went to counseling, and we found out that years ago so and so was molested by so and so. It's just like, it's getting seeking the help. I think that's important. I think it's important that when other people hear that, okay, something happened, and then they went and they got some help for it, and now they're doing better, I think that is going to be what encourages people to seek help. And one thing I've been seeing recently, I know another thing that, so Black people are so against counseling and therapists and all that. For many, many years, it's been like, Black people, why do I need to go, like you said, why do I need to go sit and talk to a counselor about the things that I already know that are going on? And so one issue I will say is that Black people felt like they haven't been represented in the psych industry when it comes to therapy and counseling and stuff like that. It's like, you don't understand what I'm going through because you can't fathom what I'm going through. There's some feelings and emotions that's just like, you can't even, I'd be better off talking to my grandma than talking to this counselor or this therapist,
I
because
can see that.
yeah. And so now what I've seen just recently, I've seen a lot of advertisement for Black therapists and counselors, which I think is amazing, because it's just like, yes, I do know where you're coming from. Don't try me. I know exactly where you're coming from because I've been through what you've been through. And
It's easier for them to relate.
yeah, and so I think that is amazing. And I think that would also make, people of color, Black people, whoever it is, feel like, all right, I might be able to talk to you because you know where I'm coming from.
And I
Receiving
think,
culturally competent care.
well, yes. And
See,
again, that goes back to what we're talking about with slavery days, Black man not trusting the white man or for medical experiments, blah, blah. I would rather, see someone Simone, like you said, that can truly understand what I'm going through,
mhm.
and in the last decades or so, there's been a lot of significant improvements with diversity with it, in those businesses. There's been a lot of more people of color in the mental health, like you said, in doctor, nursing. You always it's so easy. It's so much easier for someone to open up to someone, like you said, they can relate to, than someone that really doesn't understand what they're going. It's easier for me to open up to a white male my age than it is for me to open up to a white male that's a lot years older. Yeah, they've been through what I've been through, but they don't understand the generational bullshit that I've been through and all the stuff afterwards. And I can imagine within the Black community, it's got to be 1,000 times harder. Why would some young Black teenager want to go talk to some 30-year-old white dude about the mental shit that he's dealing with in his family and his area of his neighborhood that he's growing up with? Because the white dude, he's not going to know. He's just going to be able to, okay, I read this book and I'm thinking, well, this doctor said, okay, let's try with this technique that I read from some European Swedish dude. And yeah, you need representation because it's easier to speak to someone that's almost like a mirror image of you to really understand.
And that brings us to the National Alliance on Mental Health. They have a program called Sharing Hope. And so basically it's a group of stories that provide mental health information kind of sensitively through those stories. Like if I tell you a story about something that happened to me and how I sought help, and then it's supposedly set up to get Black families, African-American families, to seek help and tell them that there is a possibility for recovery through, seeking help.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get people more aware that there's help out there, so we can stop letting our families fall apart behind mental illness and all the little secrets of the Black family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that just popped in my head, I watched. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it, but the Red Table with Kevin Hart and Will Smith, they kind of opened up a lot to each other about the mental shit they dealt with as young entertainers growing up in the spending the majority of their time in the life, their kids growing up with it, how it's dealt with their psyche, and how it's okay to admit you're weak. And I think once again, the image of two Black men sitting at a table opening up, I think more Black men will look at them and go, look, Ramel, both two guys from Philly. If you see two guys from Philly, two prominent Black men sitting down talking about the bullshit and mental stuff they've been through, look, they're no different than a lot of the kids that grew up around you. If they can do it, we can do it. And I think
Watch
we
that
need more
episode.
people. Oh, it was amazing.
It was a good episode.
It was amazing.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm saying I'm gonna watch it. Right,
really, really good. And I think once people like in that prominent, more professional athletes, people of color who have notoriety, who have a platform come out you'll see other people come out, and be like, look, it's a fucked up situation. I have a fucked up child. Something's fucked up about me. This is that, whatever it is, it's okay. He did it. I can do it. It only takes one person to really start the domino.
I have to say this has been a very good topic. You notice I didn't curse as much. I didn't say a whole lot of bullshit because for me, it's a serious topic, right?
You only cussed 37 times on my cat clicker. That's pretty good.
Okay. I didn't curse you out yet, Alex. That's good for today.
I'm sure inside you did. It just, you need to let it out. Don't hold those feelings inside.
I will.
Let it out. Vomit that angst and anger towards you.
I know. I'm going to, trust me.
I'm waiting on it.
But this has been a really interesting and good topic because for so long I wanted to talk about it, and I'm glad we were able to get together. And Alex, I thought by you being a white man, you wasn't gonna have no kind of input, but thank you, God. You showed up to the table as usual. You came to the party.
I've been told multiple times that I'm invited to the barbecue. So
you're invited to the cookout.
Look, I don't want to be near the barbecue, but I will taste everything that's on.
I know that's right.
Don't bring your mac and cheese.
First of all, hold up.
Or potato salad.
I don't do potato salad. I make a mean 5-cheese mac and cheese that my wife and I have to bring everywhere we go. I also make a mean oxtail, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh, what?
Dude, I make oxtails. I slow cook them for 6 hours, season them. Girl, you just don't know this white boy can do it.
That's the Philly in him, though. That's the Philly in him.
True story. Look, my dad's name was Sam. He was a butcher. I was son of Sam the butcher.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I used to, during barbecues during the summers, I've had friends call me, you coming yet? I would bring, not exaggerating, 30 pounds of ribs that were walking the day before. So you can still smell the blood on them. That's how, so.
And that's some good fresh meat.
Now,
anyway.
Now you hungry? Me too.
All right, so it looks like I'm making oxtails for breakfast.
Okay. Send us a batch on over here to Atlanta.
Alex is hot oxtail.
So to wrap things up on our Secrets of the Black Family episode, I just want to put out there that if anybody needs help or treatment, there's a national treatment referral helpline. It's 800-662-HELP. 800-662-HELP. And
I just want to say, to say one more thing, that there will be a lot of people that listen to this. And anybody that listens to this, if they want to reach out to Ramel to get my information, if any man needs anybody to speak to, reach out to Ramel, get my contact. I have no problem being a sounding board for anybody. Even if it's for a woman to go, hey, how do I speak to my man about seeking help? Or if it's a guy going, I need help and I don't want to speak to my circle because I don't want that stigmatism. Look, man, reach out to us. I have no problem having a one-on-one with anybody out there about,
well, that's a really nice offer, Alex. And I'm sure that's a really good offer because a lot of people are going through stuff since the pandemic. People were cooped up and, they're having struggles, I'm sure. And sometimes they don't want to talk to their immediate circle.
If any guy out there that listens to this, dude, reach out to me. I'll be here for
you. Thank you. Y'all heard it here. Alex said he's willing to talk to you.
Yep.
So, and he can talk. Okay, guys, thank you for another wonderful episode of Shit Your Mama Should Have Told You and More. I'm Ramel with my co-hosts Alex and Simone.
Hello.
We're out.
Have a good week, y'all.